Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Positively Montana. I'm Hallie Schwinnard. Each week we scour the state looking for the positive. Stories of people helping others and people doing good in our communities. Let's begin with Dress for Success, a global not-for-profit organization. It empowers women to achieve economic independence by providing a network of support, professional attire, and the development tools to help them thrive in work and in life. Since starting operations in 1997, Dress for Success has expanded to 139 cities in 22 countries and has helped more than 1.3 million women work towards self-sufficiency.
Whether it's a blazer or a pair of pumps, job interviews usually call for professionalism, but not everybody can afford a new outfit. Dress for Success Billings is here to help, like it did for one Billings woman, elevating her life in more ways than one.
Some pretty cute stuff.
You couldn't tell by looking at her.
It's like a dream.
But Billings resident Kyle Spang has overcome more than most.
I came from a life of chaos and, been swallowed in 20 years of my addiction.
Once her youngest son, Chad, was taken away from her, she knew something needed to be done.
Was in the court to, do whatever I needed to do to change my life to, get my kiddo back.
Kyle is now 2 years sober and a graduate of the Indian Child Welfare Act program within Family Recovery Court.
Chad is now 2.5. He's in early Head Start, doing well.
But her story of triumph actually began here at Dress for Success, when she was looking for an appropriate outfit for a job interview in September of 2021.
They welcomed me with open arms, and they instilled in me like the drive and encouragement to empowered me to, get the job. And I got the job.
She went through the entire program. So she did the Career Center, which we do mock interviews, we do budgeting, financial planning, things like that. And she went through the whole system.
Executive Director Megan Hamavard says Kyle is a shining example of what their mission is all about.
She has come from a harsh background. She's thrived in every scenario. She really picked herself up from her bootstraps and carried on, with her kids, with her life.
It's why she was one out of 14 Dress for Success global ambassadors chosen to share their stories through international webinars and talks.
My story will empower a lot of women, and give hope to women that, it's hard to reach them. Because, they love hearing it from somebody who's been there and love seeing that.
And Kyle hopes her story will help others find the motivation to change their lives.
Everything that's been happening has just been a dream come true. I never thought in a million years I'd have a global impact.
In Billings, Alina Howder, MTN News.
It's just the Montana way. That's what a man says about his acts delivering food, water, even baby formula. He raced to the rescue of a mother and her infant who were stranded on I-90 for hours after snowy conditions left the interstate at a standstill.
Just days ago, a family here in Bozeman Pass watched in awe as semis and hundreds of cars became stranded and stuck on I-90. Some were stranded in their cars for over 10 hours. But this family did more than just watch. They went the extra mile by helping those in need.
I think, if I was in that position with my daughter, I couldn't imagine it.
On March 8th, heavy snow caused commercial vehicles to become stuck on I-90 between Bozeman and Livingston, blocking the interstate. This left people stranded for upwards of 14 to 16 hours. Miserable is how one woman described the event, forced to spend the night trapped.
We're just literally waiting for any type of movement. There was a gentleman going car to car to make sure that they've have water and some food.
That man was Josh Reinard.
You can see the interstate from our house. It was kind of like a scene from Walking Dead, to be honest. These cars were just stuck and there was at least a foot of snow around them.
In the waiting, thousands of people took to social media, sharing updates and any information they could.
My wife is part of the Bozeman Hill Road Facebook group.
That's how the Reinards heard about a woman stuck on a Greyhound bus with her infant, running out of formula.
We have a 2-year-old and one on the way, so we had plenty of formula and I was like, I could probably get down there with the snowmobile.
And he did just that.
Started working my way through the cars and handing out waters and snacks to people.
Eventually, he set his sights on the Greyhound bus where the mother in need of formula sat, stranded with her infant.
Got the formula, and the mother came and met me and got to deliver that. So
What was her reaction?
she was very thankful. Everybody was super thankful.
And if he had to, Reinhard says he would do it all over again.
I couldn't imagine being stuck in traffic for that long, and especially on a Greyhound bus. That'd be tough. There was several people on that Facebook page that did probably more than I did, so that's just kind of the Montana way, I'd say.
In Bozeman, Jolie Salih, MTN News.
Opening ceremonies were this Wednesday for Special Olympics Montana, and one of the oldest athletes competing could hardly wait for the games to begin.
The athletes taking part in this week's Special Olympics have been hard at work training for the Summer Games.
When I sprint, and if someone is doing long distance, I hear you will be doing stairs. We are doing stairs, yes. That is going to be super fun.
At the age of 76, Larry Sherwood is a veteran of the Special Olympics. Ask him if he's looking forward to the games, you'll get an enthusiastic response.
Yeah.
Larry's been competing in the Special Olympics for decades. He's got the medals to prove it.
That's a lot of medals.
He loves sports, and it's clear that he's a popular guy with the other athletes and those involved with the games.
So he's our oldest resident, and he is by far the most active out there. He is up for any type of thing. Every time I come in on the weekends, like, what are we doing this weekend? So he likes to come in, he likes to walk, he loves participating at the Special Olympics.
You have a favorite sport?
Yeah. Walk.
You like the walking? Yeah, you like your walking, and your bowling too, right?
Yeah.
I think that when us as volunteers, we get together and we talk about the joy that we experience in Special Olympics, Larry is an athlete that always comes to mind. He celebrates bigger than anybody. If he makes a basket, he'll throw his arms up in the air and celebrate so big, and his smile. And when he's running track or walking, he'll pretend like he's a train and get going. And just the joy that he demonstrates when he participates makes our heart just so happy.
A super senior who exemplifies the spirit of the Special Olympics.
I think that competition is super important for them, but Larry especially, it's something he really looks forward to.
Yeah.
Larry's just awesome.
In Billings, Russ Riesinger, MTN News.
Still to come on this edition of Positively Montana, math students raising money for a good cause. We'll explain right after the break.
More stories from the heart of the Treasure State are on the way when Positively Montana continues after this.
Welcome back to Positively Montana. With summer just around the corner for students across the state, an honors 8th grade math class at East Middle School is reviewing what they learned this past year. Members of the Impact team at East, the class is living up to their name in a money war.
In the halls and classrooms of East Middle School in Great Falls, you might imagine that math, science, and English are the top subjects. And while that might be the facts of the textbook, there's one 8th grade class who's making their own curriculum of charity.
Lunchtime at East Middle School looked normal. Lunch trays, cartons of milk, and ice cream.
That you're helping kids that may never get to eat ice cream again.
It'd be nice we could raise more money and just keep doing it, but the ice cream was pretty good.
The race for an opulent prize started inside Kim Cum's 8th grade classroom.
I get to see them with different emotions. I get to see them starting to understand something that's bigger than they are.
This studious class, at the guidance of their teacher, stepped away from the daily lull of school and looked to the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
We went around getting donations from people in the school, people outside the school, and just raised as much money as we could for doing the math problems we did.
The batch of East Middle School 8th graders took part in a math-a-thon.
We got $22.
Beginning with a goal of $700, one they passed quickly, setting another goal, and then another, all for the inspiration of the faces pasted to the classroom wall.
At the beginning of class, we'd watch a patient story, and a lot of them would tell the story of how they found out they got cancer, like you just get a random bruise.
A battle against cancer through a boys versus girls competition turned into $3,600 raised. So who won? Talk to me a little bit about being a loser.
It hurts. It hurts the pride a lot.
Brentley Bachma's wearing his team's loss like a champ.
The girls underestimated how hard we would try and how much effort we would put in to winning, but I mean, it's all a win in everybody's eyes. I mean, helping other people out.
Basic arithmetic to benevolence.
It'd change your life in a day, and you wouldn't even realize it. So just always try and be grateful for what I do have.
We can help a little bit, not that much, but we can still help everybody do a little bit better.
In Great Falls, Ryan Gamboa, MTN News.
Well, the state of Montana is full of writers and poets, and we can add one more name to that list after Butte High School junior Molly Ogun recently competed in the National Endowment of Arts National Competition for Poetry Out Loud.
Will you believe me when I tell you it was beautiful? What's important about poetry is that it's stories, and I mean, I think stories are the most important thing to humanity. It's what makes us human.
Molly Ogun, a junior at Butte High School, takes all the core classes, including orchestra, where she's used to taking the stage with an instrument. But this year's English honors class led her to the stage using just words and her voice. She says reciting poetry gives her the opportunity to connect with others.
It just touches what's human in all of us. It's what it is. I mean, it's been around forever. I could have lived forever.
Poetry has been a part of Molly's life for what may feel like forever for a high schooler.
I remember being really little, and I think the first poem I ever memorized was a Shel Silverstein poem, and I thought I was really cool for being able to recite that for kindergarten show and tell.
Recently, Molly took the top spot in Montana's Poetry Out Loud competition, earning a ticket to Washington, D.C. to compete with 50 other high school students. But this isn't the first time Butte High has sent a poet to the NEA's national competition.
I know that I push them, I have higher expectations, which, I think translates into them being successful.
Scott Cooney is an English honors teacher at Butte High. His students have participated in the competition since its inception 19 years ago. Students spend months working with poetry and recitation, which may be why Butte is a leader in the state, with 4 kids capturing spots in the top 10 this year alone.
It was an amazing year, and I give credit to the kids because they're the ones that really put in the hard work and the many hours of, reciting, practicing.
Why do you like poetry? What does it do for you?
I mean, it connects me to myself and to everyone, alive right now, people who aren't anymore. It's a universal thing. I mean, there's no way to really describe it except for it's everything, which sounds hyperbolic, but it's true. It's everything. It's in everything. The woman sent to clean the street used words like police tape.
In Butte, Megan Thompson, MTN News.
Breaking down barriers. That's exactly what one woman has done in her 25 years of bull riding. She began her rodeo career in the 1970s, eventually becoming a multi-time world champion and a huge advocate for women in the sport. And now her story is going to be told for all to hear.
In the 1970s, it was a rare sight to see a woman competing in bull riding. But that's exactly what Johnny Jonkowski did, winning 2 world championships and even competing against the men at times. She's still, to this day, considered a Montana legend, but her impact extends far beyond just the rodeo, including here at her nonprofit called Angel Horses Incorporated.
Iceland.
In the eventful life of Johnny Jonkowski, there's always been one constant.
I mean, I was a girl that just loved horses.
That love is why a poster advertising the Red Lodge Rodeo caught her eye nearly 50 years ago.
And I thought, well, how bad can this be?
A 25-year career later, and she's still known as one of Montana's best, recently being named to the Hall of Fame.
All you really ever want it to be is that you got noticed, I guess, for going out there and doing what you love doing.
But it was hard for her to not be noticed, many times competing against men and constantly advocating for women just like her.
Most of the girls just wanted to ride, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it didn't grow our sport.
From Billings, Montana, Johnny Dunkowski.
By the end of our hour-and-a-half conversation, I said to myself, this woman absolutely warrants her own film.
Her storied career and life is now being picked up by Montana PBS, who is looking for the last bit of funding to have the project completed by October.
Through the course of making the film, I've learned the depth of her resilience and determination.
That determination was tested last June when flooding swept over Billings, swallowing up her nonprofit called Angel Horses.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage. There was no recovery. Honestly, there was no recovery.
The nonprofit provides free therapy for seniors, and when word spread that it was going under, the community she's helped for nearly 20 years rallied to help her.
It all helped. And what it helped is made me stronger, not to quit.
The donations poured in, and Jonkowski was able to make a full recovery, currently geared up to offer the services again this summer.
You go through life, I think, hoping that you made a difference, and that was a validation that I made a difference. You know, it's not for me, it's for them. Everything about this is for them.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Have you ever heard of a theremin? It's an electronic musical instrument controlled without physical contact by the performer. It's named after its inventor, who patented the device in 1928.
Spooky, right? I'm making sounds by seemingly touching nothing, just moving my hands in the air. This right here is a theremin, and I got to talk to somebody who's been playing with one for the last 15 years.
Playing the theremin is kind of addictive because it really is difficult and it takes a lot of concentration if you want to play accurately. So if I want to play an E, I have to hold very still, because if I move my head, so it's almost like a meditation playing theremin, because it's like juggling. It's something that takes a lot of concentration.
Created around 1919, this odd instrument works by creating electromagnetic fields around two antennae. The straight vertical antenna controls pitch, while the horizontal looped antenna controls the volume. The player moves both hands to control both. Marla Goodman, an artist from Bozeman, was introduced to the unusual instrument by her husband, an electrical engineer. She held a workshop in Helena on Monday evening, showcasing its capabilities and giving participants a chance to create sounds themselves.
Everybody's going to collaborate and get to work together to create graphical scores, meaning they're going to draw scores and we're going to interpret them by playing the theremin. And they're also going to use a synthesizer where they will literally draw a picture, and that synthesizer turns drawings into sounds.
Goodman says the theremin can be a useful tool for singers, but is also just a fun instrument on its own.
It's a great way to get in touch with your internal sense of pitch if you're a singer or another musician and you want to learn more about pitch, but it's also just great to experiment with and have fun.
Reporting in Helena, Tom Buchanan, MTN News.
Still to come on this edition of Positively Montana, stamping out hunger across the country and right here in Montana. How it's helping those in need right after the break. Welcome back to Positively Montana. Each year, USPS teams up to ensure no one goes hungry. The 32nd annual Stamp Out Hunger helps fill the shelves at local food banks all across the country.
From home to home.
I've got a couple tubs of food so far.
People are providing.
We're doing a food drive for all those that are in need.
Via USPS Stamp Out Hunger.
You can put out canned items or shelf-stable items. Mail carriers will come by and pick it up at your convenience.
Mail carriers like Deb.
It makes you feel good for doing it. Got to still deliver all our mail.
and so we get that done along with picking up food along the way. So far, it's not too bad. I think we're doing a little better than last year.
That food goes from Deb to Debbie.
It's kind of a win-win for neighbors helping neighbors. Last year we collected about 17,000 pounds of food.
That's what we're here for, is to help the community.
School's getting out, so having kid-friendly items is super important. Some of the best items to donate are peanut butter and jelly, fruit, boxed meals. Cereal is a great one for kiddos.
And from Debbie to Matt,
It's hard for people to ask.
food is made available to homes who need it, free of charge.
They're freely able to shop through our client choice. We're here between 8:30 and 3. Come on down. We have plenty of food.
Marcus Kokova, MTN News.
Speaking of helping those in need, one of the biggest names in music is giving back. We were on hand for the grand opening of the Salvation Army's Client Choice Food Pantry in Great Falls.
The Salvation Army Great Falls debuted their new Family Services building featuring their new Client Choice Food Pantry, open to any hungry member of the community.
Our Great Falls neighbors are hungry, and the Salvation Army is here to feed and to support them.
The Client Choice Food Pantry works like a grocery store, where people can shop for food that suits their preferences. From fresh produce to household supplies and even pet food, the only difference is no cash register.
Anyone can come in, again, it's without discrimination. Sometimes if we're going to give them just a food box, there might be some things in that food box that they might not like. It might just go into the garbage. But right now in this situation, they can go shopping, they can pick what they want.
Members of the community will check in with one of the case managers, and when their number is called, they can grab a grocery cart. The food pantry can be utilized by individuals once a month.
2, 1.
The ceremony included a ribbon cutting along with guest speakers from the national and local Salvation Army leadership.
The best gift that we can give in life is giving to help others.
Followed by an open house for anyone to come take a look at the new facility, paid for in part by Dolly Parton's recent donation to the Salvation Army, with $50,000 of her $1 million donation being utilized for this food pantry in Great Falls.
To learn more about the new Salvation Army Family Services Food Pantry or how you can donate, visit our website. I'm Anissa Coomer, MTN News.
We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Positively Montana. That's all the time we have for now. I'm Hallie Schwinard. We'll see you right back here next week.